Hello everyone, and Merry Christmas. This is Champ. I hope you got everything you wanted in those wrapped up gifts under your tree. I've endeavored to give you all a gift from the bottom of my heart. It's going to be an ISDF Gun Show. So to start off, the list of weapons from the armory is what we'll be seeing, but you'll find out that this game has some secret weapons hidden away. So I want to explain these extraneous cases first. So for instance, the rocket tank's specialty weapons can only be grabbed by switching to your secondary fire and then picking up the regular rocket ammunition. Also, missile scouts have double the firing speed of any rocket-bearing class, and you'll see that they fire their FAF missiles very quickly, and their lock-on speed is unrivaled by any other ISDF vehicle. For the motorbike's case, it shoots out mortars out more quickly than any other class. The assault tank has a singular nozzle for its missile, and therefore makes the mag come out in a single stream and has much longer range than any other vehicle. That's the case for all of its weapons. The assault tank has much farther range. The Attila Walker has a double cannon mounted in its front, which leads to ultimate chaos and double the destruction of any rocket or assault tank. The mag is especially chaotic. So let's begin. As you can see, I'm driving a scavenger. You can move around and even pick up scrap. They don't pose much of a threat to the enemy though, so just play nice and always use them as a distraction. Cool detail in the cockpit too. Alright, so here's the motorbike, and its namesake weapon, the mortars. We'll be shooting what's called the mortar, obviously. It's a simple solution for a long-range problem. If there's an enemy, preferably a guardian or turret in your way, you're going to want a motorbike to take them out from afar. It's an instant explosion upon impact. Here's the MDM mortar. It's very similar to the regular mortar, but you have the ability to time its explosion. So it can bounce around for about 10 seconds before automatically detonating, or it can explode in your face if you're not careful with how you approach the situation. Okay, this one's cool. It's a splinter. When you fire this mortar, you drop a mini spinning ball that upon impact begins to spin at a high speed, firing shrapnel all over the place. Watch as it spins and shoots. It's effective against multiple enemies gathered around a point, however not so useful against big, large units. Okay, so we're done with the mortar family, and now onto the rockets. Our first runner-up is the tag cannon. As its name suggests, it shoots a tagger missile which deals no damage, but upon touching the target, it fires many explosive rounds into the targeted area. It works very similar to Resistance's bullseye homing tag. Also, it's worth mentioning that, in my opinion, this is the worst weapon to use in any occasion, simply because it never speeds up or powers up even while being used in a rocket tank. Also, it's tough to hit a target and rely on all the missiles to hit. It's the FAF missile, Fire and Forget missile. The best rocket you can purchase and use. It's a thermal guided weapon that homes in on units and anything hot. Unfortunately, that includes the MITS mines. However, each vehicle uses its beauty differently, and we'll see how quickly the missile scout blasts away with double the speed of the regular scout. Its ultimate destruction and rivals the strength of a walker's blast in terms of damage per second. Plus, it's a hell of a lot of fun to use. The most obnoxious weapon in the game, the Shadower missile. This one's good also, but it's a lot harder to use. Its lock-on time also differs from each unit and vehicle which is using it. Just to note, the missile scout has almost no effectiveness against buildings when using this weapon. Another important note is that the rocket tank can shoot down airborne units very well with its Shadower lock-on. You know, units like archers, etc. Okay, so we're done with rockets. Now it's time to turn over to the layable mines. The first one is the solar flare. This one is a proximity-based damager that slowly sheds away health from any of the unit that gets too close to it, including yourself. It works more like a scare tactic for real players rather than a serious threat. However, use it correctly and you could definitely disperse a crowd. Here's the M-curtain mine. It's a cool tool used to make a force field barrier that bounces away bullets or projectiles. It works both ways on either side, however, so if you're within it, you are kind of inside of a little shell. It can also be used in tangent with hiding from gun towers too. Okie dokie, now here's the MITS mine, aka the Magnetic Thermal Mine, or something like that. This mine is a retreat-specific mine that makes it so projectiles fired from vehicles are directed towards the mines so that they take the brunt of the force. This baby here is the Proximity Mine. This is useful for both retreating purposes and also ad hoc immediate purposes. Unfortunately, they only last on the floor for about 1 minute, but they are very powerful when used in a concentrated area. Okay, that was it for the mines. Now we move on to the more regular guns that you'll spend most of your time firing. The boring AT stab. Not much to say about this one. Weak range, blue bullets, and a sad lumpy sound. But it's trusty and your default, so have fun. Here's the pulse stabber. This is the weirdest and rarest weapon you'll be seeing firing from any ISDF unit. It is essentially the medium power weapon between the AT stab and the SP stab, but it looks really cool. And it has a weird purple wavy electro fun noise. It even has farther range than the AT stab. Okay, now this weapon is very common as a standard upgrade to the AT. It's the SP stab, and it actually means super stabber, which makes it sound stupid, but it's fiery and more explosive, so I know we'll all have fun with this macho toy. Next up is the plasma cannon. You'll likely know this from the gun tower's signature noise and attack. Unfortunately, this bullet fires from your own tank is much weaker, and you suffer from lack of weapon ammo capacity. But you can use this from other more powerful vehicles, namely the assault tank, who has much farther range. So this is the blast cannon, and this is the main boom from the Attila Walker and has a nasty bite that all units should fear. If hit by this, your ship is likely halfway destroyed. The only drawback is the time it takes to fire this guy consecutively. It takes about 1.5 seconds per round. Okay, and here's the mag. I love this gun. Its destructive power is the greatest and used by all powerful vehicles. You can charge it for the strongest power, but also let loose a weaker stream for faster use. The tank that we see here using it can shoot a popcorn spray, but the assault tank shoots a single nozzled stream, while the Walker shoots double nozzled mags. Talk about unforgiving. I shot this bullet fully charged at a rocket tank, and it took out 90% of its life in one burst. If you want to win an encounter, bring this gun with you. Oh well, what's the point in showing you this gun? It's the minigun. Its familiar blue spray and tinkle noise will have you remember when you first used the Scout while exploring Pluto. And it is the most used weapon of the turret unit. By the way, you can actually deck out your turrets by dropping different types of guns on them from the armory. From the sky, you know. Okie dokie, so we got a confusing weapon here that looks just like the blast from before. It's called the laser, but it's under the same category of the guns, so you'd think it's really bad. Well, it turns out it kinda still is. Well, not really. It attacks slowly and doesn't have too much of a bite when used by a tank, but if used by a walker, it's a consecutive blast after blast, which does a good amount of damage. Yes, the best gun in the game. If you come in close to an enemy and you blast him with a sucker, you'll take him out in no time at all. This one is better than the rest, even the chain gun. It's essentially a shotgun blast with no wait time. The closer you are, the more devastating, so enjoy the carnage. Watch the hell for that rocket tank, for goodness sake. By the way, it's called Pummel. Yep, I just mentioned this one, the chain gun. This is probably the coolest gun you'll use, but it kinda sucks. I still haven't been able to convince myself that I'd rather use this than the minigun, since they both have kinda the same stats. Now, I know that's not true. The chain gun does do more damage, and sounds cooler, but it's just still very weak. Just enjoy the brown color and the sound of it. Okay, so here's a kind of a long clip. I want to show off the different guns that are only and exclusive to the rocket tank. The salvo rockets, the Hornet rockets, and the Comet. These are different and when used by the rocket tank can decimate units easily. The rocket tank can use FAF missiles to great avail also, since they fire them so quickly and have more damage output than any other rocket yielding unit. Just enjoy watching the different types of weapons and usages. The Comet is a special weapon that can only be used when you are T-targeting units. Otherwise, you cannot use it. But it has an explosive power that, as you can see, will take out extremely defensive structures in 3 bullets. The only problem is that you have the capacity only for 2 when you use the Comet, and they are very slow to reach their target. They're still super cool to watch though. Finally, the tag cannon for the rocket tank is the same old boring thing, but it is stronger simply because it is being used by the rocket tank. It can take out a Scion scout in 1 tag cannon session, so that's cool. The salvo rocket is great and with a lot of damage output, but it has a very, and I mean very limited range, so keep that in mind. Here's the assault tank. I've equipped it with a blast gun, so that's a thing. Just look at the fluidity of its motions and be lost in its splendor. Here also is the mag equipped to the assault tank with a single nozzle fire. It has no popcorn spray effect like the tank did, so it can be a little bit more accurate. It still is very powerful.
Warning. Damage critical.
Welcome to the cockpit of the Attila Walker, which I've equipped with some green plasma cannons. They're kind of bad to use with the Walker. He usually comes equipped with blasts and lasers, but if you want true destruction, don't forget to equip him with a mag cannon and dominate the world. Now on to the specialty weapons, or accessories as I like to call them. They are tricky devices used like Agent 007. This particular weapon is called the Red Field Special, and it makes you invisible to the enemy's radar. So why am I showing it in a clip? Who knows? It's not like you can see it working, but it's all good. Okay, so have we moved over to Harry Potter or something? Anyway, this weapon's called the Phantom VR. It's pretty cool. It renders you invisible to the enemy units, but unfortunately, if you start to attack the enemy, they'll find you fairly easily because of their radar. But if used against real players, it's much more effective. Here's a sight camera. This one is only really useful on levels with too much fog or levels that have a lot of terrain and high places that stop you from seeing your enemies. But if you are trying to spot an enemy, sniper, or archer, or jerk who you can't find, use this little accessory to help yourself find them. I don't particularly use this one myself. Last but not least, let's not forget the pilot weapons. This weapon is called the grenade, and watch as I topple my helpless vehicle straight into the sky. It's a fun weapon, and is used to prolong your life if you're being hunted online without the safety of your vehicle. And of course, the fun old bazooka. This is the weapon of choice for destroying pretty much anything as long as you don't care about losing your pilot's life in the process. Much more useful in online play, when the death of your pilot isn't as consequential, provided that you have the player responding on, of course. But these bazookas are what the pilots inside of the APCs come out gunning with. Also, it can be used with greater power by using its secondary fire, which makes it a big boom. Okay guys, that was the end of the ISDF Gun Show. Hope you guys enjoyed the episode. And this is Tokuchimp signing off. You guys have a good day, and have a good night as well. Wherever you are, wherever you be. Bye-bye.